All right, before we get into today's topic, let's slow things down a bit and actually catch up. I like starting this way because it feels more like a real conversation, not a lesson. And honestly, that's how English is actually used in real life.
Yeah, I agree. When you jump straight into the topic, it can feel rushed. Plus, real conversations almost always start with a bit of small talk, so this is actually good practice for listeners too.
Exactly. And speaking of real life, I have a dog story. Again. At this point, I feel like most of my stories somehow involve my dog Mookie doing something embarrassing in public.
I'm already ready for it. Somehow, dogs always wait for the worst possible moment to act wild.
So I take him to this really quiet park near my place. It's one of those calm parks where people are sitting on benches, reading, drinking coffee, talking quietly, very relaxed atmosphere. I'm standing there chatting with another dog owner, just normal small talk. Where are you from? How old is your dog? That kind of thing. And then something goes wrong.
Of course it does. Let me guess. Another dog shows up with a toy.
Exactly. Another dog walks by with a bright yellow tennis ball. And the second my dog sees it, his entire personality changes. You can almost see it on his face. In his mind, that yellow tennis ball is now his responsibility.
Oh no.
He runs over, steals the ball, and then proceeds to do a victory dance around the dog park. You wouldn't have believed how cool he thought he was. Anytime I tried to get close to him to get the ball back, he'd just run further away. It took me about 10 minutes before he finally gave it up.
That's incredible. Zero shame, absolute confidence.
Done. The other owner is just standing there staring at me, waiting to see what I'm going to do, and I'm apologizing over and over, saying things like, I'm sorry, he's friendly, he just really loves tennis balls. Meanwhile, my dog is sitting there wagging his tail like nothing happened.
Dogs really have no concept of embarrassment.
None at all. Anyway, crisis eventually solved, ball returned, lesson not learned. What about you? Anything exciting this week?
Yeah, actually. My cat reminded me why cats have such a reputation. It was around 3 in the morning, completely quiet, and suddenly I hear this huge crash from the kitchen.
That sound is terrifying.
I jump out of bed, run into the kitchen, and there's a glass shattered on the floor. And my cat is just sitting on the counter staring at me like I caused the whole thing. No guilt, no fear, just judgment.
Cats never accept responsibility for anything.
Never. But yeah, other than that, pretty calm week.
All right, so speaking of situations that should be calm and enjoyable, but sometimes really aren't.
Restaurants.
Exactly.
Restaurants sounds like a simple everyday thing. Most people do it without even thinking about it. But if English isn't your first language, restaurants could be surprisingly stressful. There are menus, waiters talking quickly, background noise, choices you have to make on the spot, and sometimes people are waiting for your answer.
And everything happens in a specific order, which helps, but only if you know what to expect.
So today we're going to walk through real English at a restaurant, step by step. From the moment you walk in the door, to ordering food, to paying the bill, and finally leaving without that awkward feeling of not knowing what to say.
Let's start right at the beginning, walking into the restaurant.
Usually, as soon as you walk in, someone greets you. This might be a host or a hostess, or sometimes a server, and they'll usually say something very short like, "Hi, how many?" or "Table for two?"
This can be confusing if you're learning English because it doesn't sound like a full question. They're not asking how many tables do you want, they're asking how many people are in your group.
And the good news is you don't need a full sentence to answer. Short answers are completely normal in this situation. You can just say 2 or 3 or 4 of us. You can also say "table for 2, please," if that feels more comfortable.
Then they might ask, do you have a reservation? Again, very simple question. If you do, you can say, yes, it's under, and then your name. If you don't, just say, no, we don't. No apology needed, no explanation needed. That's totally normal.
After that, they'll usually say something like, "Right this way," and start walking. That phrase just means "follow me." They might walk you to your table and then ask, "Is this table okay?"
And again, short, simple answers are perfect here. You can say, yeah, this is great, or that's perfect, thanks, or even just, this works. All of those sound natural.
Once you're seated, the next step is almost always drinks. This is where the waiter comes over and says something like, "Can I get you something to drink?" Or "What can I start you with?" Or "Can I get you started with drinks?"
This moment causes a lot of panic for English learners, but it doesn't need to. You don't need complicated language here. Simple phrases work best.
You can say things like, "Just water, please," or "I'll have a Coke," or "Can I get a beer?" or "I'll have a glass of red wine." If you want coffee or tea, you can say, "Can I get a coffee?" or "I'll have an iced tea."
If you're not ready, this is where one of the most useful restaurant phrases comes in. Can we have a minute? The sentence is incredibly helpful. You can also say, "We're still looking," or "Just a minute, please." All of these are polite and normal.
Now let's talk about menus and food because this is where things really expand.
Most menus are divided into sections. You'll usually see appetizers or starters, main courses, sides, and desserts. Sometimes the waiter will come back and ask, "Are you thinking appetizers today? Or would you like to start with an appetizer?"
If you want appetizers, you might say, "Yeah, we'll start with the fries," or "Can we get the garlic bread?" or "Let's share the nachos." Sharing appetizers is very common, so you'll often hear phrases like, "We'll share," or "Let's start with."
If you don't want appetizers, you can say, "No, we're good," or "We're just going to do mains." Both sound natural.
At some point, the waiter will ask, "Are you ready to order, or do you need a few more minutes?" This question is important because it gives you control. If you're not ready, you can simply say, "Can we have a few more minutes, please?" Restaurants expect this. You don't need to rush.
Quick pause here.
If you're enjoying this and finding it helpful, make sure to slap that subscribe button. We post real English conversations like this every week, and the goal is to help you feel confident using English in real life situations.
All right, back to the food.
When you're ready to order, the waiter might say, "What can I get you?" or "What are we thinking for mains?" A very natural way to order is to start with, "I'll have," or "I'm gonna get."
Now, let's slow this down and talk about specific foods because menus can be overwhelming.
Burgers are very common. You might see a classic burger, a cheeseburger, a bacon cheeseburger, a chicken burger, or a veggie burger. You can say, "I'll have the bacon cheeseburger," or "I'm going to get the veggie burger."
If it's a beef burger, the waiter might ask, "How would you like that cooked?" This usually means rare, medium, or well done. If you're not sure, medium is very common.
Pizza is another popular option. You might be asked small, medium, or large, or thin crust or thick crust. You can answer with just a few words, "Medium, please," or "Thin crust." Toppings are also common: pepperoni, mushrooms, onions, olives, extra cheese. You can say, "Can we add mushrooms?" or "No onions, please."
Pasta menus often include spaghetti, penne, fettuccine, or lasagna. Sauces might be tomato, cream, Alfredo, or pesto. You can say, "I'll have the spaghetti with tomato sauce," or "I'm going to get the chicken Alfredo."
Steak and chicken dishes are also common. For steak, you'll usually be asked how you want it cooked. For chicken, you might hear grilled or fried. Simple one-word answers are fine.
Sides are another important part of restaurant English. You might be asked fries or potatoes, or mashed or roasted, or side salad. You can answer with one word like fries or mashed potatoes. You can also customize by saying, "Can I substitute fries for salad?" The word substitute is very useful.
While you're eating, the waiter will usually check in. They might say, "How is everything tasting?" or "How is everything so far?" You can say, "Everything's great, thanks," or "So far, so good." If something isn't right, it's okay to say something politely.
After the main course, dessert comes up. Dessert menus often include things like chocolate cake, cheesecake, ice cream, apple pie, or brownies. You can say, "Can we see the dessert menu?" or "Let's share the cheesecake."
If you don't want dessert, you can say, "No, we're good, thanks," or "No, just the bill, please." You might also hear people say, "Can we get the check?" Check and bill mean the same thing.
When the bill comes, you might hear, "I'll take that whenever you're ready." You can pay by card or cash. If you want to split the bill, you can say, "Can we split this?" or "Separate bills, please."
When you're leaving, it's polite to say something friendly like thanks so much, or everything was great, or have a good one.
And that's it. You've gone through a full restaurant experience in English from start to finish.
Eating out in another language can feel intimidating, but confidence comes from repetition. The more you hear these phrases, the more natural they sound.
All right, that's it for today. If this helped you, make sure to subscribe for more real English conversations. We'll be back next time with another everyday situation,
Probably involving food.
almost definitely involving food.